To Hawaii, everyone. Look alive. You're at the Motorfest.
We recently sat down to play Ubisoft's new racing game, the Crew Motorfest. Specifically, the demo we played focused on the introductory sequence that functions as a gameplay montage of sorts. It gave us a good hands-on of all the racing disciplines available in the game. This was followed by a quick look at the opening and closing events from a playlist of our choice. The Crew Motorfest feels like an evolution of the Crew 2. It even feels more grounded. It has clearly been inspired by the likes of Forza Horizon and Dirt 5, and has a refreshing new setting based on her Hawaiian theme. Ubisoft clearly wants this to be a sequel of some sort to the Crew 2, and there's even an option to import your garage from that game, while assuming that the vehicles are featured in the Crew Motorfest. The story here is that you're part of a group of young and upcoming motorsport enthusiasts who have a pretty active social media following. You're now attending this motorfest on a Hawaiian island. While there are some established tracks already, the entire island is your playground of street races, off-road point-to-point challenges, and scenic cruises in vintage vehicles.
Hey everyone, photo time.
We'll admit, we find the industry fixation with protagonists that are young, talented social media influencers with unlimited free time and finances increasingly weird. Who even lives that life? We found the dialogue mildly entertaining in the most cringeworthy way, so we hope there are options to drop into quick play events, be that single player or multiplayer, without having to constantly spam the skip cinematic button.
You are our special guests. Athletes, festival goers, car lovers, all gathered here in majestic Hawaii.
Looking past the narrative, the Crew Motorfest has a lot of content on offer that is smartly structured to give everybody a chance to find the racing discipline that suits their driving style. Each playlist offers a series of races escalating in difficulty or complexity themed around a familiar motorsport event. The first we sampled was the Made in Japan event, which draped the urban environments with vibrant neon decorations and lights. It had a focus on modern and electronic consumer sports cars, straight line speed, and drifting around corners to maintain your lead. The Off-Roading Addict functioned as a point-to-point rally with little regard to established routes, plenty of uneven and rough terrains, and wild jumps.
The island becomes your playground. Total freedom becomes your creed.
The simply named Motorsport playlist is your traditional Grand Prix style track events that demand careful racing lines and overtaking on straight roads. It also has a risk-reward tactical layer as you pick the best time for pit stops to offset deteriorating tires that reduce your traction. Vintage Garage Playlist is your opportunity to cruise around the island at an ever so slightly slower pace in iconic vehicles from the 1980s. Here we took in some sights as we dealt with the lack of modern features in cars such as traction control and assisted braking. There's also a self-explanatory Lamborghini playlist, which is a celebration of the iconic car brand. It also focuses on cruising around on the highways, only at a much faster speed. Now, we didn't get enough time to appreciate the depth on offer in each of these disciplines, but at the core, the racing felt fantastic. We did play through the demo on the default racing presets too, which felt a lot more forgiving than a pure simulation title. We also enjoyed how each of the playlists offered a different focus. Made in Japan, Motorsports and Automobili Lamborghini focused primarily on pure speeds and maintaining racing lines. Off-Roading Addict and Vintage Garage have a greater focus on finding optimal routes and dealing with reduced traction control. Having enjoyed the lower speed events that let me appreciate both the intricate vehicle designs and the detailed backdrop, I picked the Vintage Garage playlist for my final stint. I got the impression that each playlist will have a light narrative layer to it, with a supporting cast member providing details on the history of the racing discipline, the vehicles involved, and the Hawaiian setting itself. One event even tasked me with keeping an eye out for landmarks to plan my route, which proved a great way to take in the scenery but tough to pull off at high speeds.
Or the nostalgia. It's how these things drive.
As this was a remote hands-on session, it's hard to talk about the technical state of the Crew Motorfest, but the shift to a smaller and diverse location feels smart. There's still plenty to see, from the modern cities to sprawling coastlines, tropical jungles and volcanic slopes, while the smaller scale allows for environments dense in detail and more believable in scale. Of course, the cars on display looked incredibly detailed too, and the environments felt dynamic, with changing time of day and variable weather conditions coupled with bushes, trees, power poles and even low walls crumbling under impact. Racing game soundtracks have always been an essential part of the experience too, especially in open world settings, where you can cruise around between events. Based on what we played, we can't comment on the dynamic nature, but the music playlist for each playlist seemed perfectly matched. Not only is the choice of music diverse enough to complement each driving discipline, but there are several classic tracks that correspond to the age of the vintage vehicles too. So based on the tiny slice of the massive game we played, the Crew Motorfest has solid driving mechanics, plenty of content to cater for all tastes, a solid presentation that will hopefully scale across both current and last gen platforms. However, the idea of structuring a racing game around a motorfest is no longer novel, so I'm curious to see how it compares itself when it comes to the progression mechanics, the user interface, player motivation, and of course, the implementation of games as a service content. Will the narrative elements be integrated into some sort of social media presence mechanic? Can you have a fulfilling experience if you just enjoy one or two of the playlist disciplines? Are you simply working through menu-driven playlists to slowly increase completion percentages? Is multiplayer the core focus, and if so, will Ubisoft provide a decent stat tracking feature or maybe a real-world social media integration for people to show off their rides and completion times? Would it have some sort of Gran Turismo style overview and career mode to provide some guidance? These are all the questions we still have. For now, it looks promising, and we'll just have to see what Ubisoft shares in the coming months leading up to the Crew Motorfest release. But those are our thoughts on the little time we had with the Crew Motorfest. Are you looking to pick this game up? Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to like and subscribe while you're here, and check out www.glitch.online for more gaming tech news and reviews. I also want to send a huge thanks to Andrew for doing this preview for us. Until next time, farewell.